Well, as I said, welcome to Arts at Bowdoin. My name is Jennifer Timmons. I am an Assistant Dean of Admissions here at Bowdoin, and it is my pleasure today to moderate this panel uh, in afternoon for us here in Maine, and wherever you are in the world, we're pleased that you're with us. It is my pleasure to introduce three of our faculty members of the various departments around arts at Bowdoin. And today our job is to sort of give you a sense of what it's like to pursue curricularly or extracurricularly arts at Bowdoin, and give you a chance to answer, get some of your questions answered. So with me today, I'm very pleased to introduce Jackie Brown, Associate Professor of Art and Chair of the Visual Arts Department. Davis Robinson, Professor of Theater and Chair of Theater and Dance Department, and Vineet Shende, Professor of Music, representing the Music Department. So we are very pleased to have them with us. Quick rules of engagement here. You are very welcome to ask your questions at any time in the Q&A. We are going to do a brief sort of presentation from our end before we get to the Q&A answering part of this event. If we do not get to your question, that is not intentional, please feel free to email those, anything that's still lingering, to admissions@bowdoin.edu, and we will send them to the various recipients. And please also be reminded that this is a thematically specific presentation. We are talking specifically about arts at Bowdoin. If you have any burning questions or lingering questions about the applications process or about other aspects of life as a student at Bowdoin, please do refer those to admissions@bowdoin.edu, because we are here today to discuss the fabulous offerings of our various performing visual arts at Bowdoin. So I'm going to turn the floor over to our faculty members. And I'm going to ask Vineet Shende from Music first to give us a sense of what's music like at Bowdoin, and how can students participate. Mhm.
Thank you, Jennifer. Um, well, like most college music departments, the mission of the department is threefold. We have our academic courses, we have our ensembles, and we have individual lessons. Something that's kind of unique at Bowdoin is that between those three areas, a full third of the campus comes through Gibson Hall, which is where the music building is, every semester. And we think that high number has to do with the kind of program that we have, or at least we'd like to think so. The kind of program we have and the way that arts are looked at Bowdoin in general. So what do I mean by that? Well, in the music department specifically, we try to approach music from as holistic and universal a kind of standpoint as possible. So we don't privilege any one musical tradition over any other tradition. There's still, even to this day, a lot of places, a lot of college music departments that will kind of put Western classical music in this central pillar, and then everything else is a kind of appendage off to the side. But we really pride ourselves on trying to not privilege any particular tradition. So, for example, you can take music theory classes and learn compositional styles that are found in Western classical music or in jazz or in pop and rock music, or even we have courses in South Asian music and how it's constructed. We have courses in West African music and how that's constructed. And that's just on the music theory sort of side of things. And we try and have all of those traditions throughout our curriculum. Likewise, in some of our courses that are music survey courses, we have courses in the history of film music, as well as the history of opera, as well as the history of hip hop, as well as the history of jazz, etc. So it's that kind of universal approach that we like to take towards studying music. That also applies to our ensemble. So we have your standard, choirs, orchestras, concert bands, what have you. But in addition to that, we have a South Asian performing arts ensemble. We have a Middle Eastern ensemble. We have something called Beyond Borders Percussion Ensemble, which looks at the percussion traditions found in both South Asia and West Africa, as well as South America, and plays music from those traditions individually, as well as combines them together. And then something else. So those are that kind of universal approach to music is something that we pride ourselves on. In addition to that, we try to make music as accessible to all levels as possible. So for example, if you are interested in playing an instrument, you've never played it before, maybe you've always wanted to play I don't know, bass guitar or something like that. You can start at the beginning level at Bowdoin and play bass. And if you are on any kind of financial aid, it doesn't matter if it's a very small amount or a full ride, your lessons are taken care of. So you don't have to pay a cent for music lessons at Bowdoin if you're on any kind of financial aid. And this idea of trying to make our program as accessible as possible to everyone applies to, for example, our chamber music program as well. So if you're interested, let's say, in participating in chamber music or participating in one of our jazz combos, you do at the beginning of the semester do what we call a meet and greet, where we figure out where your level is and where your experience is, and then we put you in an ensemble with similar leveled instruments or instrumentalists or singers or what have you. Because we firmly believe that, first of all, if you're interested in chamber music, that should be an opportunity that should be available to everyone, not just the most advanced students or anything along those lines. And we also believe that if you're in an ensemble, you should neither feel intimidated nor frustrated by any of your other members that are in those chamber ensembles. Something else that's kind of unique about Bowdoin is that we're one of the few of our peer institutions where our orchestra is all students. Most other places, you will have a kind of half students, half faculty, staff sort of orchestra. But at Bowdoin, it's all students, and we really do believe in giving students a lot of agency in our ensembles. And finally, well, there's more, but at least in terms of this general introduction, something that's also unique about Bowdoin is that whereas most other college music programs, you just get a general degree in music, in Bowdoin, you can choose to concentrate in either theory and composition or in performance or in what we call music in social historical context, which looks at the intersection between music and politics, between music and economics, between music and gender studies, so a kind of humanistic approach of studying music. And why don't I leave it there? And because we'll come back to other questions, I'm sure. And Davis, I believe you're next. Is that right?
Sure. Hi, everybody. So, theater and dance at Bowdoin, what's unique? Um, Pretty much every college you go to, students want to major in acting or directing or design or dance or writing. We try to provide some basic courses in most of those areas, but probably what makes us unique as a school is theater and dance really is one department, and we work together a lot. So we encourage people to think across disciplines while still respecting kind of what you need if you really want to be serious about dance or serious about being an actor or director. But we share things as well. So we share space, we share the theaters, we share, then there are a couple of theater spaces on campus we both use a lot. And we also have studio shows. So in terms of the major, you can choose a stream and you can say that you're focusing on theater, or you can say you're focusing on dance, or you can say you're focusing on interdisciplinary. So there are not a lot of colleges where if you're really interested in theater and dance, you can combine that and do an interdisciplinary major, 5 courses in each area. And even within that, you might be more design-based rather than performance-based, or you might be more history, theory, critical-based rather than wanting to be on stage in any fashion. So we try to make room for that. The whole structure of the major or the minor, for that matter, is take the courses in the areas you're interested in. We try to give you options every semester. So there's something at the 1,000 level, the 2,000, the 3,000. And then seniors work on capstone projects. So taking all of the work you've done across our department, but also in other departments. So we get students deep into Africana studies or gender and lesbian studies or history or German or French, you name it, and combine that so that what it is they want to express is done through some kind of performance medium. And we get a lot of really interesting projects as seniors, putting to use everything that they've learned. And that might include designing something, writing something, performing something, working with a group of people to make something unique, and working with your classmates to help make that happen. So you learn how to look at dance and theater, you learn what you're passionate about, and we try to give you the tools to be able to, make a pretty intelligent piece that will stand up professionally in the real world as much as it's well informed by your liberal arts education. So Other things, if you're not majoring or minoring, you can always audition for shows. There are shows every semester, both shows that the department puts on and shows that students are putting on, or independent studies or senior projects people are doing. And then there's Mask and Gown, the student club groups, which we also have a pretty close relationship with. So auditions are open to everyone all the time across campus. You don't have to be in a class or a major or a minor to audition for anything. It really is based on what you bring to the table and what we're looking for, and if it's right for that particular piece. So um, uh, what else do you need to know? The way to major or minors are 5 courses and majors are 10 courses. But within that, we might count a course in English or German if Russian literature happens to work because there's enough theater material in it. We'll count that as your history theory requirement. If you go abroad, a lot of our students go abroad junior year, or they go to the National Theater Institute at the O'Neill Center to get that real conservatory experience sometimes. Come back, work on their projects. So we count work that you're doing as best we can to make it a holistic education. And, I would say the main thing is we look at theory and practice as really blended, that you can't just study the theory of something without practicing it as well. And that practicing without being informed about the theory and history that precedes it kind of makes your work not stand up as well. So that's the goal of the department, and the goal is for you to find your own artistic voice and to know that it is as challenging as is visual art, as is music intellectually, even though there's more body involved or more voice involved than I think people think the traditional majors, like you need to be a government major or an econ major or a comp sci major in order to get a job. And that is so not true. Just letting you know that if you're passionate about it and you love it, go for it, and feel free to ask us questions about courses that maybe it looks like you're not allowed to take because it's 2 levels above what you've done, but you feel confident doing it, and talk to us about it. We'll bend the rules if it makes sense to bend them. So someone comes in with great dance experience, they don't need to take 1,000 level to do a 2,000. Maybe they jump right to a 3,000 if that's where they're at. So we try to meet you where you are when you come. So that's it for me. Jackie.
Okay, I'm up. I'm Jackie Brown, Visual Arts. Okay, what can I tell you about visual arts? We have 6 media areas. We have drawing, painting, photography, printmaking, sculpture, and video. So lots of different things that you can explore across our curriculum. And in some programs, you have to take a foundations course or you have to take drawing before you can take other courses. You can enter into our program with any course. So your first course could be photography, it could be video, it could be printmaking. So it's really an open curriculum, and there's many entry points into our curriculum. We also have a fund to help offset the cost of art supplies that's now available for all students. And so you pay the first $100, and then any expenses beyond that are covered up to a certain amount. So that is a huge resource to help enable students to take visual arts courses. In our beginning level courses, there's no expectation that you're coming in with previous experience. And so all are welcome at any level. And I think that's really exciting when it's new territory for a student to see how they might surprise themselves over the course of the semester. But if you do have experience coming in, there's always lots of room to take things to the next level for yourself, and open-endedness in the assignments. What else? So we have, the way our curriculum works, our beginning courses at the sort of level 1 and level 2 are media specific. So drawing 1, drawing 2, painting 1, painting 2, or landscape painting. We have a lot of thematic courses. I teach sculpture and I teach a mold making and casting course. There's photo and color, lots of different level 2 courses. But so the idea is you're building a strong foundation in specific areas. But then if you continue and you pursue a major, or you're just a student who really wants to keep taking visual arts courses, our advanced courses are open-ended. So they're not media specific. They're theme-based. So I teach an art, science, and the environment course. We have an abstraction course. We have art and time, all these different themes. And the idea is that these are almost like independent studies. They're self-directed projects that students get to pursue, but you get to do that around this theme, and you get to do it in a group of other students who are excited to be in the studio and making things. So you have painters and photographers and sculptors working side by side, working across those boundaries, really starting to break down those boundaries between media areas, and really experiment and engage in dialogue with each other. We also, at the end of every semester, we have a big open house event. So we filled the whole building, the hallways, the galleries in our building, all the classrooms. It's a wild week where we're finishing things and transforming the spaces into sort of exhibition spaces. And we have a big event where members from the community can come and see everything that students have made. And students get to see, you get to see what your peers have been doing. You get to see what's happening in the other classes. And it's a really fun, lively event and a really nice sort of kind of capstone at the end of each semester. And then each year in the spring, we have a big senior exhibition where the seniors mount their work throughout the building as well. What else can I tell you? We do have, in addition to the visual arts major, we have an interdisciplinary major with art history. And we also have coordinate majors with education, environmental studies, and digital and computational studies. So lots of different ways that you can explore and make connections across disciplines. What else can I tell you? We have some new faculty joining us. We have a new tenure track faculty, Eleanor Conover, starting in drawing and painting. And we have 2 or 3 other new faculty. So it's a very exciting time in visual arts where there's a lot of new energy and excitement in the building. We also have an artist in residence program. We have a printmaking program that lets us bring in guests into every printmaking class. We have photography grants. We have some visual arts summer grants and some internships and things like that we try to help connect students with those opportunities. So I'll stop there and happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you to all of our panelists for those overviews. We have been getting questions trickling in, and I might also like to invite our attendees now, if you have anything that was stirred by those presentations or other questions on your mind, please do put them into the Q&A box and we will start sorting through them. I did notice a number of questions sort of about accessibility and audition processes. So maybe if Vinny and Davis, you could talk about specifically, do you audition for ensembles? Do you audition for theater productions? And sort of how do you, how competitive is it? That's the gist of the questions we're getting.
Sure. I'll go first on that. We have some ensembles that are audition based and some ensembles that are not really audition based, but placement based. And then we have some ensembles that are not audition based at all, and you can just come. So for example, for orchestra or the chamber choir, there is an audition that goes on there, and that has to do with placement in the orchestra as well, and whether or not you're at a certain level to be able to play, because the orchestra plays, they do repertoire such as they did Stravinsky's Firebird a little while ago. They do all kinds of repertoire ranging from the modern day, back to the Baroque era, and so we want to make sure that people are able to do that. For our chamber ensembles and our jazz combos, though, again, we try and find a place for everybody. So the advanced students, the people who've been playing saxophone since they were knee-high to a grasshopper, will be placed in an ensemble with similar people of a similar level. And likewise, the people who are just starting out on saxophone will be placed in an ensemble with people of their level. So we try and find a way that everybody can participate in those kinds of ensembles. And frequently, let's say that you audition for orchestra and the director decides that you're not yet ready for orchestra. He will encourage you to take lessons and to maybe play in a chamber ensemble, one of the beginning level or intermediate level chamber ensembles, until the following semester or the year afterwards, when you might be ready to be in the ensemble.
And
Davis,
on the
you wanna go
theater
ahead?
side, sure, yeah, on the theater side, all shows we audition, all shows pretty much. Students also audition shows, and so, but there are also a lot of shows that are class-based. So on the dance side, you don't really audition for the dance concert. It's all driven by the classes putting on end of the semester projects that go into the final dance concert on stage. So If you're in the advanced modern class, you've taken several classes, you've been in several shows, they do work that's at the most technical level probably. But if you're in the intro modern class, you're also in the same dance concert, and it's often a really fun and exciting piece because you see people that it's their first time dancing, on stage in a big show. So theater, if it's a show we are doing, someone asked about musicals, we're doing Into the Woods this fall. Every part we had to audition for, and it was very competitive. So you're really trying to choose amongst the five best people for a part, to try to give people opportunities. And we do try to make sure that we get around to as many people as possible. So we're not always playing with the same people over and over. So that doesn't happen. And we also have a lot of class-based projects. So we might, if you're in the comedy class or the improv class, there's an improv show at the end of the semester or a comedy show that's very popular. Everybody that's in that class puts on a piece or is part of several pieces. So you don't have to audition for that. You just have to get into the class, which is, a popular class to get into. So just let us know when you get here what you're most interested in, and you'll definitely find performance opportunities. There are also separate groups, improv groups. They always audition. There was a musical theater group. I think if they revive, they will audition people. So yeah, I think that's basically how it works. And there are some courses like the Shakespeare class. They put on a Shakespeare play at the end of the semester, and again, no one auditions for that. Well, if you're in the class, you'll be part of that production. So.
Excellent. We're getting some very specific questions about specific genres that exist or not. So maybe we could do a quick fire response. For instance, is there ballet at Bowdoin?
We don't have an on-staff ballet teacher. We have students, of course, always interested in ballet. So there's a club, and we do try to bring in outside dance teachers that have experience. Most of our dance training is modern based, but modern uses a lot of ballet terminology as well. And we also teach Afro-Caribbean and hip hop. And there's clubs on campus. There's tap. When we do a big musical that uses tap, we'll bring in a guest artist to teach tap. So ballet, there are people in the area. We send people to Portland Ballet or bring teachers up from Portland Ballet to help augment the curriculum where possible. But yeah, so that's ballet.
Excellent. How about vocal music, independent or collective?
Sure, there's lots of vocal music. There is the Bowdoin Chamber Choir is our kind of our vocal ensemble. That's one of our department ensembles. In addition to that, you can take lessons at the introductory, intermediate, and advanced level. At the intermediate level, I should say. Well, at the introductory level, it's just about technique and kind of learning the instrument. At the intermediate level, you perform on a department recital at the end of the semester, about 5 to 10 minutes worth of music. But at the advanced level, you create your own recital, excuse me, that's done over the full-length recital that's done at the end of the semester. And usually there's some kind of a through line for that, and there's a paper component. And so whereas our ensembles and lessons are worth half credit, at Bowdoin, most academic courses are full credit, but ensembles and lessons are worth a half credit. Our advanced lessons, however, are a full credit, just like you would have for any other academic course, classroom-based course.
And before we get off the subject of vocal music,
sorry.
do we have
And
a
I
cappella?
just want to say one more thing, Jennifer. There are also, in our performance track, there's also courses in the art of singing where you learn different singing traditions from around the world. There is a repertory class for vocal music as well. There's a music theater class that is often coincides with the musical that's being done. And yes, there are 6 a cappella groups on campus as well that are all student run. Someone asked about a gospel choir. There has been in the past a student run gospel choir. I don't know if they've revived yet or not. I think they're looking to. I've heard that they're looking to. So hopefully that'll be happening as well.
And I would just
Excellent.
tag with the musical theater. We have a visiting faculty member this year and probably the year after who teaches auditioning for musicals. So anybody that is in that class will work on audition pieces as well as how to perform a piece, especially from something problematic, a show that was written in a different time period where race issues, political issues are really hard to watch these days. How do you adapt something like that for the 21st century? And what pieces would you perform and how would you perform them? So there's an end of semester concert from that class as well, based on work students have done to try to interpret problematic musicals or numbers from problematic shows.
Excellent. Similar types of questions for visual arts. Do we have mixed media, pottery, animation, graphic design, and or digital drawing?
A mixed media approach is welcome. Absolutely. It's integrated into many of the projects and courses, but especially as you get to that advanced level, we're all for students pursuing the work they want to pursue, and we want to support that however we can. Even in my Sculpture 1 course, the final project is the theme is transformation, and you can choose any materials you want in order to explore that idea of transformation. So it may be materials we have in the studio, it may be materials you bring from the outside world. We do not officially have ceramics, but we do have clay within the sculpture area. So my background is actually in ceramics. We have a kiln. The very first project I do is in clay. And then in my mold making and casting class, we make plaster molds and we slip cast in clay. We're also getting a slab roller. So clay is very much an active part of our sculpture program, but we do not have wheels. But the college does also have a craft center, and the craft center does have wheels. So there's opportunities to engage with ceramics through the craft center and as part of the sculpture curriculum. Yeah. I also saw questions about cameras, and I'm so glad that question came up. That we do have some cameras available for the actually students can be provided cameras for the photography courses and the video courses. So that's not something you have to have in order to take those courses. And we did just get support from the college to get some brand new cameras for the video class. So there's lots of support there as well.
Yeah, and I would just tag that with animation. We have a student now who's a senior theater design major, really, who really got interested in animation. And so the other track is, once you've taken all the courses that can possibly support your interest, to do an independent study. And she's doing an independent study making an animated film. Several of our senior projects have sort of drifted more towards media. People want to make short films. They want to make podcasts. They want to use media to tell stories. So we try to accommodate that as long as they can take the courses that would support it. So there might be a course in performance and narrative that gets into the kinds of things you might make an animated piece about. In design, we also do puppetry, which gets into sculpting and shadow puppetry and that kind of storytelling. Lighting design, costume design, and all those. So if you've taken enough of the courses that start to build enough skills to be able to make an interesting piece, if you want that to be your capstone project, and we don't really offer a course in it, we can do that. We can accommodate it through an independent study, typically, where you do most of the work and the research, and we just help you oversee it.
Excellent. Davis, while you're on the subject, could we ask about playwriting and or dramaturgy opportunities at Bowdoin?
Yep, we offer playwriting usually every other year. We often students senior capstone projects, usually one or two want to write plays, and we'll have read a lot of plays and done work throughout the 4 years they've been here, so that we're willing to take that one on. There sometimes we bring in guest writers. We've had Tony Kushner, we've had Susan Laurie Parks, we had Anna DeVere Smith. We have some really stimulating people coming. John Waters is coming this fall, so that'll be exciting. So any way that we can encourage writing, partly it's also seeing good writing and reading as many different kinds of plays as possible too. And the kinds of writers that are starting to show up these days, busting up kind of the old dead white guy canon is great. And there's some really exciting people we try to have come visit as well and stimulate that. So dramaturgy, we usually put an assistant director on every show. And if students really interested in dramaturgy as well, that's a great benefit for us. We've had one student who really ended up making that their whole focus, and really got into 17th century Spanish woman playwrights and ended up going to grad school based on that, and is now working for the public theater, I think, or something. So, there's it's definitely an area we don't offer a separate course just in that, but it's a skill set that we use throughout production. So, very useful.
Excellent. Similar types of questions about composition as a specific track in music, and relatedly, opportunities for digital music and composition.
Sure, sure. So a couple of things along those lines. So as I was saying before, we have three separate tracks in music. We have theory and composition, we have our performance track, and we have our music in social and historical context track. And for each of those tracks, the music major is 11 credits. 7 of those are in your concentration track, and then the remaining 4 equally delve into the performance and the other 2, whatever it might be. And in terms of composition, yes, we pride ourselves once again on approaching it from as many ways as possible. So we do have students who are more interested in, more concert music kind of based composition, writing stuff for orchestras, writing stuff for string quartets, etc. We've also had students who have written their own musicals together, which has gotten performed here at Bowdoin. We have students who are interested in electronic music, who are, writing all sorts of music influenced by digital media. We actually have a brand new professor starting next year in digital music. And he's going to be doing both digital music as well as multimedia sorts of things, incorporating dance and design and things like that. Let's see, what else was there a class about? Oh yeah, the other nice thing is that we give a lot of opportunities for our composers to get their music performed. So everything that is written by a composer here at Bowdoin will get performed, either with a student group or if it's a advanced level independent study or one of our capstone projects, by professional folks. And it's interesting, a friend of mine teaches at Eastman, for example, and the ensemble in residence there's the Yin Quartet. But the Yin Quartet has connections with Bowdoin because they run the Bowdoin International Music Festival. And as part of that, they read compositions by Bowdoin students here, which they don't do it over at Eastman. So, there's something opportunities that students get at Bowdoin that, because of the way that we're situated, that they wouldn't get even at conservatories. So yeah, and there's also money to hire professional instrumentalists and singers to perform students' works at the advanced level and for capstone projects too.
Excellent. A series of questions about the portfolio aspect of the application, and I can weigh in here too as someone who works on the application side of things. Just to preface this answer, when you apply to Bowdoin, you are not applying to a major. As a liberal arts school, you are applying to the College of Bowdoin, and then you can explore your interests and eventually declare a major. So if you choose to send us a portfolio in any or all of the disciplines of your choosing, you are not applying directly to a major. So I will preface this conversation with that just to start off. But faculty, what do you like to see in portfolios, and any tips that you have for our questioners about how to put together an arts portfolio for Bowdoin?
I think something that's important to remember, and when we're talking about portfolios, you're talking about the art supplements, right?
Yes.
That book, right? Yeah. Okay. So I think something that's important to remember is that it is the respective department that evaluate those portfolios. In a lot of places, it's the admissions department, and so I don't know, sometimes you'll get somebody who thinks they're putting in an arts portfolio for the admissions department, so they'll put in something quirky that makes them stand out as opposed to something. Well, I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, we had a student who went to Allstate for oboe, but decided to, in her music arts supplement, put her quirky ukulele Ed Sheeran cover that she had. And so, we would have loved to evaluate her on her oboe playing and all and given her a bump because of that, but we didn't have the stuff there. So just remember that it's the departments that are going to evaluate it. In terms of the music art supplements, I will say that we look to those with an eye towards what you may be able to participate in with our ensembles. And so I would say that if, for example, and I would recommend, giving us a variety of what you're capable of. So give us something that's technical, give us something that's more lyrical. if you play more than one instrument, which is great, just make sure that you put in a recording of each instrument that you play, because we will individually evaluate all of them. And there's a form that we get. And if you say, for example, that you play bass clarinet, but you don't send in a bass clarinet sample, then we have to mark in cannot evaluate, did not provide material for this instrument in that part of your evaluation. But I would say that we find those very helpful, and we give those a point ranking, and we also let admissions know which instruments or voice parts we need more or less of. Well, we never say less of, but what we need more of in our ensembles as well. So I think that can also give you an edge when it comes to your admissions. I would recommend doing it. I don't, as far as I know, Jennifer, that can't have a negative impact on them, correct?
Absolutely not. Everything you send us, especially the optional components, are more pieces of information about you that we assess holistically as part of who you are and who you might be on our campus here at Bowdoin. So yes, if you would like to, please do. If you are afraid to, please do not worry about it.
I would just say with the theater and dance application, art supplements, we simplified it on purpose because we were getting, some incredibly well-produced videos that were filmed with 3 cameras, in an incredibly high budget production from a school, and also somebody's parent with their camera in the middle row. So in order to try to simplify the production value issue, we really ask you to just give us a 1 or 2 minute you talking to the camera, rather than performing a monologue or trying to do a dance piece or cut together clips from different shows you've been in. We appreciate that, but we just want to see who you are and hear who you are. We cannot help get you in. What we can, if you get accepted by the school, we can help bump you up by saying we love this person, please, more than this person, if that makes a difference. So that's where just trying to be honest on camera and give us a sense of what you're passionate about and what you've done. That's great. And just keep it simple. But we found that's been really useful. That's been more helpful than actually watching, several of your clips cut together. So don't worry about production values. Just use your phone and set it up and just give us a good sense of who you are. Someone, sent in an incredible, speaking of animation, claymation that must have taken days, weeks to film, and was beautifully done. But if they're not going to get accepted by Bowdoin academically, the fact that I love that animation isn't going to go anywhere. So, unfortunately, you're going to get accepted based on your academic record and all the qualities that Bowdoin is looking for in a student. And then the art supplement just helps us maybe root for you a little more too. So
Yeah, I'll just reiterate that it really can't hurt you. It can only benefit you. And in visual arts, we see such a wide range of portfolios and have a very open mind. And we just want to see what you do, what you're excited about sharing with us. And that might be a series of really traditional drawings, or it might be some really wild contemporary mixed media crazy sculptures, or it might be a combination of different things. So it might be like really cohesive, like here are my drawings, or it might be here's some drawings, here's some photography, here's some sculpture, here's some wearable things I'm working on. So it really is very open. I think we want to see what you're excited about and what you feel you've invested time and care into. And you do have a chance to share a little bit of writing with us if you want to. And if you do, my advice on that would be to not worry about sounding smart or it being really formal. The more your voice can come through it in an honest, genuine way about why you care about this experience or this process or this work, or what questions might be coming up for you as you're working through it, the more that can just help us get some more insight into it. And as Davis said, just to root for you. Yeah.
Excellent. Pivoting away from admissions and towards sort of the on-campus experience, we have a couple questions about sort of clubs, school groups, and opportunities for people who are maybe not intending to study seriously, but would like to just sort of generally be involved in the arts community. Oops, I think Vin,
Ben,
you're
you're
muted.
off.
Sorry. I will say that in music, there's only one class that's reserved for majors, and so anybody can participate in any of our classes, provided they've had the prereqs required to get into the class. And so, as I've said before, for example, our orchestra, which has around 70 members, 70 students in it, usually only 3 or 4 of them will be music majors, and most of them will be other majors that are coming in. I will also say that 60%, 2/3 of our majors are double majors, and it's a wonderful variation: music and neuro, music and history, music and physics, music and theater. So it's all over the place. In terms of other on-campus activities, as I said before, there are 6 a cappella groups. In addition to that, there's something called the BMC, the Bowdoin Music Collective, BMC. And they're a student organization that works together to put on concerts at the pub, the Jack McGee's pub, which is kind of like a pub on campus. They also they run a recording studio and practice rooms that are exclusively for students. They have nights that they call Build-A-Band nights, where they have people who are interested in hip hop production, or people who are interested in forming bands, or people who are interested in forming bluegrass acts, punk acts, whatever it might be. They kind of all come together, and it's you meet each other, and there's been lots of bands that have been formed out of there. I think that answers the questions. There's somebody also asked about opportunities for recording, and I will say that there is that recording studio that's run by the students. The department itself also has its own recording studio, and our concert hall is completely tricked out to do a 48-track recording as well. So yes, there's ample opportunities for recording here at Bowdoin.
And I think that there are lots of clubs, and a lot of people work just with the clubs. There are also a lot of students, they're a government major, some area, but they have a friend or someone on their team says, oh, you have to take this class, and they pop in junior year or senior year. So we have a really wide mix of students in every class. So some are very serious, come here knowing this is what they want to do for the rest of their lives, and other people just find it junior year and go, wow, didn't know about this, and jump right in. So I would just say there are as many ways to sort of participate as you have time to fit it into your schedule. So if you want to do a double major, as Vin was saying, or if you want to just do a club, I've had students who just do they do work study, so they're on the crew, and because they like working backstage, but they don't take any classes, and that's fine too. I've also had people on the crew decide to take a class because someone else did, and suddenly they realize they want a major or minor. So yeah, you'll find your own level, I think, once you get here. Someone was asking about how do we know, how do we evaluate you if we can't see what your performance is like? It really is, if you get into this school, we'll work with you. So it's not quite like a conservatory. It is a liberal arts college education. And of course, people like Lin-Manuel Miranda went to Wesleyan, good liberal arts school, because it had history, and it had music, and it had dance, and it had all the disciplines that he wanted to study, and put it together with a crazy idea to make Hamilton into a musical. So that's the kind of student we'd love to encourage. So if you're so inclined, please come. So.
Excellent. I'm going to start wrapping us up here, unless there are any questions that have come through that our panelists are burning to answer. If you have not had your questions answered, please feel free to send them to admissions@bowdoin.edu, and we will send them on to the appropriate parties. And any questions that you have about the admissions process in general, specific questions about the arts portfolio supplement, which again, optional holistic admissions, please send those to admissions@bowdoin.edu. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much to our panel, last chance panel, to answer questions that have been.
I'll just I've seen a couple quick ones. Yes, there's an orchestra. It won't be in the pit. It's going to be on stage. Our set is built around the orchestra, so they are the woods. We're going to be walking through and into the woods. And for those of you who really just want to do just theater or just dance, that's fine too. It's just we don't separate those forms out mentally. So if you're a designer, we would encourage you to try other things. If you're a theater person, we encourage you to take a dance class, but none of that's required. So you can be as narrow as you want. So
I'd like to address the what do students do after they graduate. I think it's a wide variety of things, and they're all over the place. From people who aren't doing things in music, a lot of people who are on Wall Street, a lot of people who've gone to med school, etc., or doing all more kind of social activism work. But amongst those who do go on in music, it's again wonderfully varied. I had a music physics double major, who now has his own ribbon mic company. The person who designed the streaming service Songzo, which was bought out by Google and became Google Play, is a Bowdoin graduate. There's people who work in A&R for Warner Brothers Records that are Bowdoin graduates. So it's all, and there's also lots of people who are composing. Every time I go home, I turn on NPR, and at the end of it, they say one of my former students who's written the music for one of their programs. It's a weekly program there. So, you know, it's and other people who've worked for music for theaters in Chicago. It's a whole variety of things that people do out of here.
Absolutely. Just some nuts and bolts questions. Somebody was asking if the art supplies fund has a limit per student. There's a limit per class. So let's say you're taking drawing and sculpture, you would have up to a certain amount for each class. And so that's $300 per class, up to $600 for photo classes. And then the college has so many resources and funding outside of the visual arts too. You can apply for monthly mini grants for visual arts or for really anything you're pursuing at the college. So there's lots of support for supplies and resources and equipment that you may need. Yeah, I'll stop there.
All right. Excellent. Thank you to our fabulous panelists. It is a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for your expertise with our visitors. Any other questions that our audience has, please do feel free to send those along, and we will try to make sure that they get answered. And thank you all for being here from all over the world. And I hope you have an absolutely wonderful evening, afternoon, morning, depending on your time zone. Thanks very much, everyone.